Want to hear my 90-day review, my first 90-day review, and see some stats that back up what's going on? Then you're in the right place. Let's chat. Hi, I'm Mike Cerrone with the Comeback Agent, and on this podcast, I'm chronicling. I'm I think that's the right word. I'm journaling. I'm sharing the stories of what's going on as I do my best to get back into real estate after a 15-year absence. And my goal this year is to sell 25 homes in my first year back. So what I'm doing here is my 90-day review. This is the last day of the first 3 months back in the business. I started on January 1, so it's pretty easy to watch. So this is March 31st. And what I'd like to do is share kind of what's going on, just the big picture as far as production, and share with you some of my prospecting efforts, some of the stats, which I'll show you in just a second, so that you can kind of see how this is developing. Or maybe lack of developing. So let's get into it. All right. So my goal is to close 25 homes a year, and that basically is 2 homes per month. And so right now, at the end of the first quarter, I should have 6 properties sold if I were on track. I'm not on track. I'm pretty far behind. I have 1 property closed, and so I'm happy about that. However, if I just keep doing one every quarter, I'll do 4 a year and I will be an average agent. Ever since I began my career 32 years ago, 31 and a half, almost 32 years, uh, the average agent in America sells about 4 homes per year. If they just take all the agents, all the active agents, divide by total number of transactions divided by the total number of active agents, you end up with 4. Maybe it's a little below that, a little above that, but that's about where it falls out every year. And so I can see why I've made the classic mistake, many of them. First of all, I didn't stick to my plan, which we'll get into. But secondly, um, you go out, you find a client, you work the client, then you babysit the client to make sure it closes. And that whole cycle will probably take about 90 days. And then you realize, hey, I got no business. And then you got to go out and do it again. And that's why the typical agent gets stuck in this 90-day cycle where they're closing about 4 transactions a year. All right, so uh, I know exactly what happened and why, and I'm going to show you some stats to back it up. Um, and then I also have a plan for moving forward, what I'm going to do differently. So what did I do wrong? I didn't follow my plan. Number one, I didn't read my affirmations every morning. That's the way to get your mind straight, and I didn't do it. Huge mistake. I started to, and then I just fell off. That's my fault. Two, I didn't stick to my prospecting, which you're about to see. We're going to show you the prospecting stats of what I did do and how it works so far. And and I need to get into that discipline. That is a requirement, and I must do that moving forward. Um, and three, by the way, if I can't get on track, I need to adjust my goal because otherwise it's going to become crushing by the middle of the year. If I've only closed 2, my goal is to do 25, and I don't see any future. First, I don't have any listings right now. I don't have any active buyers. I am basically starting from scratch because I didn't build up that the prospecting and the prospecting list and the leads coming in. Big mistake. The other big mistake I made, by the way, was I didn't act on my PCSOI right away. I was challenged not to do that. And in retrospect, that was an error. I should have started at the beginning of the year. I didn't start till this month, just about 30 days ago. And as you're going to find out, I'm getting solid leads out of that. And in fact, the one closing I had was PCSOI who came to find me. They had to dig and research and ask people where I was and track me down and say, hey, could you sell this property for us? And I said, sure, okay. And it was a great transaction, wonderful people, a lot of fun. It all went pretty quick and it was real exciting. Multiple offers, 9 buyers, the whole shebang. It had everything you'd want in a transaction. So the good thing about that is it kind of got me reinvigorated on the business. So that was an exciting situation. But let's do this. Let's look at some of the stats at this point so you can kind of see what's going on. I think it'll become really clear. So let me pop that open. Excuse me, I'm going to show you my screen here. And hopefully this is all out of the way and you can see it pretty good. All right, so this is the stats for the end of the first quarter. This is March right here at DA. If you look at that column right there, that's the end of March, and there's the stats for March. And then we go into the first quarter, the year-to-date stats are right here. So my PCSOI, what do we got going here? So I haven't made any calls out. Okay, I haven't made any left any voicemails, but I've gotten into 2 conversations, and actually I need to add one. Just had one this morning, kind of interesting. So watch this. I'm going to add this in here. This was Monday. Oh, actually, I guess that one rolled into there. That actually, I got a text message that came in on Sunday. Let me go through the stats, and I'm going to tell you how they came about. So I got into 2 conversations. For some reason, I thought it was 3, but now I think about it, I remember why I'm thinking that. Anyway, I got into 2 conversations. One was a past client called me off of a postcard, and by the way, that's what I've done for the last 30 days. I've sent out 3 postcards because I know this is the super active time of the year. I need to get in front of the people quickly. So I'm going out every 10 days, which is pretty aggressive. I won't do that for the whole year, but I got to do that here in the second quarter if I have any chance of bumping my numbers up. And so I've already sent out 3 postcards during the month of March. And that's generated, the first postcard generated a call from a past client who was thinking about moving. They were thinking about selling the property and buying another one. And I actually went to lunch with them and chatted about it. And after consulting with them, I actually think they should try to stay where they're at for now. And I told them why, based on their situation, and try a couple of, basically to try to fix the house up to meet their needs, because I think it's going to be possible. And so they're going to go try that first. They're going to look into and bid out that option. And then if that doesn't work, they'll come back to me. They said at the very end of our lunch, we had like a 2-hour lunch. At the very end of the lunch, they said, hey, you're our guy, you're our agent. If we decide to sell, we're getting back in touch with you. Thank you so much for meeting with us. I'm like, yeah, this was a lot of fun. And anyway, so that may turn into something, but the big lesson there, by the way, is just to be honest and tell the truth. I really did not think it was a good idea for them to sell at this point. By the way, at the end of that, somewhere in the the last quarter of that luncheon, almost towards the end, they mentioned, now that you're saying for us not to move, we understand, and we'll try this other option. But we have a family member who has been talking about selling. We'd like you to talk to them. Like, great, no problem. That sounds fantastic. So that's another lead that I've got. And I know that person actually, because that was another past client. That's the nice thing about getting your past clients out there. And so I understand their situation. They're probably, if it comes together, that's probably about 6 months out, maybe a little longer. And so that's a good possibility. Again, all started because I sent out a postcard. The very first one just said, and that postcard just said, hey, I'm back. Literally said, I'm back. And I'm back in the action. If you need my help, let me know. And then I outlined for him that I've been out 15 years and here's what I've been doing and so forth. But I'm ready to help you now. All right. And then the mailing number 2 was a little card. I guess I should close this down while I'm talking to you about this. Mailing number 2 was a little card that I sent out that it was a handwritten card. I did 115 handwritten cards and I put a lottery ticket, a scratch-off lottery ticket inside, and it was for St. Patrick's Day. And I put a little note in there about St. Patrick's Day, happy St. Patrick's Day. Hope you have the luck of the Irish. And I dropped the card in and my name. And then if I remembered something about them in particular, I do a little PS and I write, hey, it was, are you still doing X, Y, and Z? Are you still skiing? Are you still, have you fixed up that basement? Just ask them all little questions, whatever popped in my mind. Or thanking them for, some of them are closer friends and relatives. And so, hey, a little thing about our connection from the past or a recent interaction. Anyway, so I sent those out and I actually got 2 replies by text. People saying, hey, I got it. And they took a little picture of the card and said, hey, we won a couple bucks. I think one of them won $50. I'm like, hey, that's fantastic. And they wanted to let me know. So I didn't get any leads, but I'm just kind of planting the seeds and getting out there, reminding them I'm in the business. I'm doing an 8x8, by the way. So I'm trying to get out to them 8 times in 8 weeks, although I've extended it a little bit. I just want to get in front of them and become top of mind while we're at top of season, which is right now in the spring. All right, I just, the third email, the third postcard or third mailing, which is a postcard, just hit. And what that was a little postcard telling them about the sell that I just had, and that we sold it really quick. Okay, in fact, I'll show you those samples in just a minute if you stick around. Okay, I'll show them after I show you the stats. But I wanted to share with you what had happened, and I sent out the third one, and somebody reached out to me that I apparently helped them buy or sell a long time ago. I don't remember a lot of details about them, I'm sad to say, but I know they were on my list and it said that I helped them. So I'm like, And so I reached out to them and they texted me and said, hey, we're thinking about moving out of state. We'd like to talk to you. And so that was on Saturday, and I don't work on Saturdays, but I texted back real quick and said, hey, it's great to hear from you. Let's chat on Monday. And I went to the dentist this morning, so I couldn't actually talk. So I started just texting back and forth a little bit. And I said, hey, I'm sorry, I went to the dentist and I can't talk. And they said, hey, why don't we talk tomorrow? So I've got an appointment. I scheduled a phone appointment. By the way, I didn't just say, hey, let's talk tomorrow. I said, hey, let's talk at a specific time. So I scheduled a phone appointment for tomorrow. That's 10 a.m. my time. I'll be on that call. And we'll catch up and find out exactly what their situation is and if we can help them. So my little postcards have already generated 3 leads from my PCSOI, and I'm only sending it out to a list of 115. So the beauty of the PCSOI, you can really put a lot of effort and time into it because it's such a small list. I've sent out 3 cards now, and I'm trying to think. I'd have to look back. My budget, I'm probably somewhere around $400, maybe $500. I've already had a closing for my PCSOI. It way over would pay for me to do that all year long already. So I'm already ahead of the game. All right, so I wanted to give you those pieces of info, a little bit of background. Let's get back into this list and take a look at the prospecting to see what else we can learn. All right, so let's see. From all this, I haven't done much. I didn't send out any newsletter or ask anybody if they wanted to be on it. I haven't set any appointments. This is not complete. I need to update this a little bit because of what I put in here. I did have the closing with a seller, but that lead actually came to me at the end of last year in November. And I said, I'm thinking about getting back into business. Why don't we touch base in January? And then we finally touched base in February. And by the way, I kept reaching out to them once a week. I did my follow-up like you should be doing. But basically by February, they're like, yeah, let's do it. And by the end of February, we went on the market. And by middle of March, we were not only under contract, we were closed. We had an 11-day close. Everything sold in 3 days, had 11-day close. It was a lot of fun. Went really fast. But there's another video on that if you want to watch. Anyway, so I did have my 1 seller closing, but it does look out of place because I don't have that conversation here. That would be 3 conversations total over more like a 6-month period, and then 1 seller closing. My point here is just look, work your PCSOI. It's so easy. It's so profitable. These people love you. They want to work with you. And that was a huge error I made by not sending out to them my first 2 months back. I should have started January 1. And I almost did. And then I tried to go this other route first. And that was an error. So don't make my error. Get right on your PCSOI. Now, if you have made the error, if you haven't been reaching out to people, reach out today. Just start today and get it going. Especially now because we're going into the spring. All right, let me go to the next list, next group of people, and that is expireds. So for expireds, I put in a little bit of time calling, and here, this is what I want to look at. Remember, we got to go year to date. So for the month, I did 30 minutes for the whole month of March. I'm kind of embarrassed. I did 30 minutes. I made 10 dials, and I had 3 conversations that didn't go anywhere. Although I'll tell you, I talked to one guy. It turned out he was already under a commitment with another agent. just the way it worked out. And he's like, look, if this doesn't work out, I want to get together with you in August. And I like what's going on. He talked to me for like 45 minutes or something on the phone. And he said, I really want to get together with you. And by the way, I didn't know this guy from Adam. I just started a conversation with him by cold calling. And he wants to meet in August if his home isn't under uh, contract by then, which I think it will be. He's going to go on the market here in the next couple of weeks. He should be in great shape. But if for some reason he's not, I got a long shot lead there. Now, let's go over here because this is kind of interesting. I did some experimentation over the last 90 days, and I learned a couple things that might help you. One, I made those phone calls, and I got in 10 dials and 3 conversations, one of which is that long-term lead. Now, I also tried this new thing, which is text message reach outs. And everybody's got a different opinion. I got a lot of feedback on what I should or shouldn't be doing it. I understand. Let me just tell you, I did. I experimented with it to see what was going on because I've heard of other agents doing it. I was curious. So I text message, I started a conversation by text message with expired listings. And I sent out to 135. Okay, so 135 in my area. I think they were pretty much all in my city, but over a period of time. So going back not only now, but over the last year. So some of them were current and some of them were older. And I'll tell you, the ones that were older had the better conversations, right? They were willing to have a conversation. Kind of interesting. The newer ones they're getting bombarded, so a little harder to break through. I did get into 22 conversations. And what I mean by that is a text conversation back and forth. Everything from them saying, no, the property's sold, or hey, don't contact me, which interestingly, I only think happened maybe once or twice in that whole group. Most of them were saying this or that, not interested now, or contact me again later, or property's already sold, or I'm going to relist with my agent, or I already relisted, and we're going to go on the market soon. All kinds of different comments were coming back, but I was getting responses. And the older ones were responding, the newer ones weren't. And that, again, is the big lesson for me. And then the next part was I actually was able to take 3 of those people and put them into a lead system. They're like, yeah, keep following up with me. And I'm not doing anything now, but I may in the future, and et cetera. So I got them on a newsletter drip and sent them out a free market analysis by email. Through a system, by the way, that automatically does it. And I told them that this is just automatic. It'll just get you in the ballpark. And then when you're ready to narrow it in, let me know. We'll nail it down. I did, in fact, set one appointment. And I met with a lady who was looking very strong initially. Didn't turn out to work out today, but it was looking pretty good. Actually met with her. We were lining everything up as far as selling her place and buying a new one. And we're working on the financing. And then later that day or the next morning, she had talked to her kids, and she decided to just bag it for now and wait another couple of years to clean up a couple things that she was working on. But she was actually a pretty strong position in everything that I had discovered. And so I have continued to reach out to her. I put her on my hot list, and I've reached out to her about the listing I just had because I thought it was a good candidate. And she was actually interested in it initially and then decided against it. But anyway, so she's like on the cusp, kind of interesting. All came from a text message. So I thought I was onto something because that was early, but then nothing else materialized. And so I'm thinking text messaging is actually a pretty rough way to go. I don't feel as confident about the numbers. I mean, for instance, look, I did 10 dials and I got into 3 conversations. These text messages took me days and days and days. I think I was doing 10 at a time, or I think I was only doing 10 a day, because if you do any more than that, you get labeled as spam. And anyway, so it took me a couple weeks there. And out of that, I did get into some conversations. I got a few leads and 1 appointment. I guess that's not too bad. But to me, I think I realized I got to be more aggressive than just doing some text messages. So that's my texting experience. What's this next group? The next group is circle prospecting, which was kind of my big plan. It's kind of like geofarming by phone. And I planned to do that. And I did some. It's just saying I have an error. but that's just because I don't have any numbers in here, and my little formula would work out. But as you can see, I didn't do anything with it in the month of March. Again, so embarrassing. But earlier in the year, I did a little bit. Okay, I did 165 minutes. I tracked minutes. So what is that? That's just under 3 hours of calls. I left a bunch of, I made some dials. I made 52 dials. I left 23 voicemails. I had 13 conversations, and 2 people went into long-term leads on a newsletter, and that's it. I should have continued on that, and that's what I'm going to do moving forward. The nice thing about this is I'm hitting an area I know well. It's very close to my home because I don't want to be traveling all over the place. I'm really not a very motivated agent. So, so I don't want to travel a lot. I want to do it all here in my local zip code if it's possible, or as much as I can. That was the other reason I didn't go out to my PCSY initially. And but in order to make that work, you got to work it. And as you can see, I really didn't. I mean, come on, 1 hour a month on average, that's just not enough. But at least we did something, and we'll pick up those numbers as we're moving forward. Second quarter is going to be a bit different. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got FRBOs. So these are for rent by owners, another interesting group. In that case, we made dials for 104 minutes, so an hour and a half total for the 3 quarters, for the 3 months. And that was earlier in the year. I think it was in January. I had 28 dials. I had 13 voicemails. And by the way, that was actually interesting. I got responses off leaving voicemails to this group. And I had 4 conversations. One of them was a very serious lead that I had left a message for, and they reached back out to me. And that was somebody who was thinking about selling instead of renting, because that's the script, right? Hey, instead of renting your place out, why don't you sell it? And I got into a conversation with this person. It turns out they were just about to rent. They had actually been living in the property. They just put it on the rental market because they were thinking they were going to wait 6 months. I'm like, nah, don't wait. Get it on now. You're going into the spring. This is going to be great timing. The market's actually pretty good right now. Why don't you just get the property sold? Don't put a tenant in there and have them mess it up. It's all dolled up. Let's get it sold. And they're like, yeah, that makes total sense. And then I started to try to schedule something. They had to talk to their spouse. And by the time I swung back around to them, they decided to go back to another agent that they were loyal to, which is, by the way, that's why you stick with your PCSOY, because they were a past client of another agent. They're like, yeah, we want to be loyal. We want to stay with that agent. I said, I completely understand. If you need a second opinion, let me know. Well, they did. I watched it. They did, in fact, list that property, and they sold it in just a couple of days and closed it a couple of weeks later. So I know what I'm trying to say is it is a legitimate lead source. It was very hot. Anyway, so that may be something we play with a little bit more moving forward. And then similar to it is absentee owners, which are NOOs, non-owner occupied. So these are investors who own properties, or they could just be somebody who owns a vacant home. I actually know people in that situation. It's just vacant for whatever their reason is, and they may decide to sell. And so that's another area that I may look into. But that was my objective at the beginning of the year. You can see my stats, not very impressive, but there were a couple little lessons there that we're going to capitalize on moving forward. So if you have any comments for me, drop them down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you, especially if you remind me of how lame that was the first quarter and how I can't do that moving forward and expect different results, right? So we'll just sign that up as we're just going to write that off as a learning experience. You have got to be persistent and consistent. The Slack method just ain't going to work, right? Trying to text people only ain't going to work. You got to get into conversations with folks. And the best way to do that, and you control how many conversations they're going to be, is an outbound prospecting program. And so you either, so the best way to do that is phone. You could do it by door knocking. Maybe you could do it by text message for people you really know, like your PCSOY. But I don't have a lot of phone numbers for my PCSOI, by the way, just because it's a very old database, and emails were just starting to come in, and cell phones weren't even used that much back then. That shows how old I am. And so, but I have a lot of mailing addresses, and I confirmed them. And so that's why I'm going out by mail initially to get the word out. And then I'm going to figure out ways to track down more contact information. But that's another lesson. Whatever you have, that's what you need to do. You need to move forward with what you have. Don't wait for it to be a perfect opportunity. All right, so we're going to see if we can get this restarted here in this second quarter by actually acting on these objectives. Oh, you know what? I was going to show you some of the marketing. I assume maybe you still want to see that. Let's see if I can pop it up here real quick. I'm looking at some older stuff. Hold on here. Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to be eating up a lot of time. But let's see if I can pull it up real quick to show you. No, right there maybe. And okay, what did I do? I'm going to show you a couple quick things. So we had here, I'm back. I'll show you that. Okay, so let me show you my screen. All right. And so I've got these I'm back postcards. Very simple. Just said, hey, I'm back. After a 15-year break, I'm re-entering real estate sales, ready to help you, your family, and your friends. Thank you in advance for your patronage and referrals. Very simple message. This is not very flashy. Just kind of threw it together. It's got my name and contact info, and I give my resume here. And then on the back, it has my picture as well. And there you go, has my picture as well. And just say, hey, remember me, because I don't know which side of the card they're going to look at first. And that was that. All right, so that was the first postcard that went out, and I got a call off of it. As I said, resulted in a lunch and potentially a sale. Let me close this and try to find the next one. I have to close it because I don't have complete control over this thing. I don't want to be sharing people's information that they don't want shared. I don't know why it didn't show me my stuff. Let's try something else. Oh, sorry, it's taking so long. I didn't expect, and I'm not editing these things, so we'll see if I can get to it quickly or not. Might have to move on. I was going to show you something else I thought was pretty cool. Let's see, go there. Okay, good. I found it. Here is the next postcard. So I don't have a picture of the cards that I mailed out. Where'd you go? Okay, so let's share this. But I do have the postcard samples. All right, so I had this little postcard. Again, pretty simple stuff. It talked about, hey, I've got this, I helped this wonderful gentleman who was my past client. He needed me to help him sell a home. We got 129% of his net cash go. I was really proud of that. He said, hey, look, I know this is going to be tough, but this is how much money I want to get out of this house. And I said, great. And we wrote that down. And at the end, we got 129% of that. I was really happy, and he was ecstatic. And so I got a picture of us there at the closing. And then over on the right, I kind of shared a story of what happened. Mike generated 9 offers in 72 hours and 103% of asking price with a simple strategy. And I described now these are going out to my past clients. I described to them my coming soon strategy and how we planned it and how luckily it worked. And we did really, really well. And something that was kind of interesting here in this story, by the way, is that the difference between the lowest offer and the highest offer, $135,000. So they made all their offers, and then of course I negotiated many of them up. And the final offer, if you look at it, then compared to the lowest offer that came in, the difference was $135,000. So I'm sharing that, and I put it in here into my note. That's the value of hiring a professional, right? So I said, hey, the range of the value, range of the offer prices was $135,000 from the bottom to the top. That's the difference 32 years of experience can make. When you need to buy or sell or invest in real estate, call me and the phone number. And so that's what I'm trying to get across to you is be sure to toot your own horn because nobody else is going to do it for you. And you got to point out those differences and uniquenesses. And then here was the back of the card. And then I had a different backing if I was going to send it out to non-owner occupieds. But that's what was there. All right, I want to share one other thing. Oh, by the way, that card is the one that just generated the most recent lead I've got. It's actually sounding kind of interesting, and I like the area where the property is. It's in a really great area, strong area, great location, great. I assume it's going to be a great price when we get down into it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me do one more thing to show you if I can get it up real quick. Because it's kind of neat. I just kind of created this and I'll just share it with you if you're still hanging with me because I've been babbling a lot. A lot of you are probably already gone. But if you're still there, congratulations. You're going to get a cool little bonus. And here it comes. We're almost there. Done. All right. So this is a little card I made, a little postcard that doesn't have gloss on it. It's just flat. And the reason is I want to be able to write on it. And here's the front, just has a little picture of a mountain stream. I'm in Colorado, so a mountain stream makes sense. Do what's good in your area. Maybe you're at a beach or something else, but I'm in a mountain stream. I got my return address, and then right here I can write in the name of the addressee, their name and address. And then on the back, I've got at the bottom, it says, hey, from the desk of Mike Cerrone Realtor, phone number and email. And I can write them a quick message, just like the old postcards. I flip it over, write a little message and send it out to them. So again, I got the front and the back of this little teeny postcard, it's a little 4x6. So it's a postcard stamp rate, which is a reduced stamp rate. And the reason I created that little postcard is so making these calls out, these to people that I'm meeting that are strangers, and what I want to do is I want to send them a quick note and just say, hey, it was so nice to meet you and thinking about you and look forward to chatting with you more in the future. Just a simple little note. And I was doing them on note cards, and that was fine, but it was just taking a lot of writing. I didn't feel comfortable about writing in my phone number, right? Maybe drop a business card in there. It just seemed a little awkward. This is like, hey, this is from my desk. Here you go. It's already got all the contact information on it. And if you want to reach out to me, it's already there. I don't have to write it in. I just write the note and the addressee, throw a stamp on it, boom, it goes out. So that was kind of why I created it. You can do that for prospecting efforts. You can do that just for personal efforts. Now, remember, the message will be public. So keep that in mind. Don't write anything super personal on there because the postman will see it and whoever else grabs the card. But I'm just going to be making little contact notes. Hey, it was nice to talk to you. Hope you have a great day. Pretty lighthearted stuff. And so anyway, that's why I created that. Hopefully in some way this has been valuable to you. If it has, give me a thumbs up on the video so other people know this is something to listen to. And if you like 90-day reviews, and I've been doing the reviews, trying to do them every 30 days. If you like that, give us a thumbs up. We'll keep doing them. And also, if you have any questions or comments about what you're seeing or hearing, if you like it or don't like it, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and drop them down in the comment section. Love to hear your feedback and what you think about this little series we're doing to get this information in this video in particular. But thank you for taking the time to listen to me today and move along here and join me on the journey. So hopefully you're having a great day. I hope you have a wonderful and productive day. Keep moving forward. Bye for now.